Alright, this is Weapon X Reacts and we're back with another video, and this is going to be a review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is a film directed by Quentin Tarantino, and to me, this is honestly one of the most entertaining movies that I have ever seen in my life, as it was just so well acted and directed. And not just that, but this is a film that I totally recommend that you should go check out once in your life, as it is going to be an experience that you will never forget. And I am just going to let you know that there will be a lot of spoilers in this review. I'm going to break down the plot of this film. So, an actor and his stunt double struggle to recapture fame and success in 1960s Los Angeles. In their mission, they must tackle several twists and turns. If there was one thing that I really liked about this film, is the way in how it does such a great job at telling a story that is deeply compelling. And while it may look simple at times, this is a very well written and complex movie that will stay with you long after it's over. And to me, one of the most interesting things about this film is the fact that it is so much more than just a comedy drama, but a powerful study on Los Angeles and Hollywood as a whole. And not just that, but I thought some of the acting performances were really well done, especially from Leonardo DiCaprio as Rick Dalton. And to me, this is honestly one of his best performances, as he does such an amazing job at portraying his character as someone who is deeply compelling, but just so well written all at the same time. And when we first see his character in the opening scene of the film, it immediately starts off with Rick Dalton starring in a Western TV show from the 60s. But as the scene goes on, it quickly transitions into a shot of him doing an interview and driving around the streets of Los Angeles with Cliff Booth. And this is where you start to realize that this is an actor who feels completely past his prime in Hollywood. And to me, I thought that this was a perfect introduction into who he really is as a person. And not just that, but it perfectly sets up everything for the film that you are about to see. And I am not going to lie to you right now. Out of all of the films that I've seen in my life, no film shows a more realistic depiction of Hollywood in the 60s better than this film right here. And you can really see that from Rick Dalton's character arc throughout the film. One of the most interesting things about him as a character is the way in how he tries to do everything that he can in order to bring his career back on track. Even if it means that he will need to lose his own sense of reality. And while he knows that it won't bring any peace to his life, you can really see that he is trying to become a better person through the friendship that he has with Cliff Booth. And to me, it is honestly one of the main reasons on why he is such a well-written and deeply complex character. And you can really see that from Leonardo DiCaprio's powerful performance in this movie. And I am not going to lie to you right now. He deserves a lot of praise for his performance in this movie, as it was just that fucking good. And not just that, but this is a pretty realistic depiction of an actor whose career is fading away. But despite that, he is trying to do everything that he can in order to recover it. And it is just honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is just that fucking good. If there was one thing that I really liked about his performance in this movie, is the way in how he brought so much depth and complexity into this character. As it really goes to show you that he is honestly one of the best actors working in Hollywood today, as he does such a great job at playing characters who are deeply complex. And you can really see that from this film right here. And overall, Rick Dalton is such a well-written character, and Leonardo DiCaprio honestly makes this film better than it already is. And I am not going to let it right now. This is definitely up there as being one of the most emotionally powerful performances in the history of cinema. I thought Brad Pitt did a pretty good job playing Cliff Booth, despite the fact that he wasn't in the film all that much. And to me, one of the most interesting things about him as a character is the way in how he tries to do everything that he can in order to become the hero of his own story. But if there was one thing that I really liked about Brad Pitt's performance, is the way in how he brought so much depth and humanity into the role, as it really makes Cliff Booth so much more than just a supporting character, but someone who you can actually care about. And you can really see that from the friendship that he has with Rick Dalton. And to me, it is honestly one of the main reasons on why Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is just an absolute masterpiece of cinema. And overall, this is honestly one of his best performances, as it really goes to show you that he can do such an amazing job at playing characters who are deeply compelling, even if they aren't the main character. And the fact that he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor is a perfect example on why his performance is just that fucking good. And I totally recommend that you should go check out some of his other roles like Fight Club and The Assassination of Jesse James, as they are just absolute masterpieces that we just don't get from modern Hollywood anymore. And it wasn't just him and Leonardo DiCaprio that gave great performances, but I thought the supporting cast also did a pretty good job playing the characters, even if they weren't in the film all that much, especially from Al Pacino as Marvin Schwartz, Kurt Russell as Randy Miller, and Timothy Olyphant as James Stacy. And I am not going to let it right now. This is definitely up there as being some of the best acting that you are ever going to get from a Hollywood movie like this. I thought Quentin Tarantino's direction of the film was just so well done, as it really goes to show you that he is honestly one of the best directors in the history of modern cinema. And you can really see that from how he does such a great job at telling a deeply compelling story about Hollywood in the 1960s. And I am just going to let you know that this was a massive passion project for him. And it really goes to show you that he is just the absolute best. Especially when it comes to telling stories that are deeply compelling, despite the fact that he steals a lot from other movies. And you can really see that from some of his other films. And I actually will admit, this is the only film that I have seen from him that actually has heart, in my opinion. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a perfect fucking example of that. And I am not going to lie to you right now. We need more movies just like this. Especially when we are living in an age of where every film that is coming out nowadays is nothing more but generic and soulless slop that nobody asked for. Also, do you want to know what's the biggest problem affecting Hollywood nowadays? Is the fact that they hiring writers who don't give a shit about telling a good story or entertaining the audience, but more about pushing their own agenda. And you want to know why we go to films in the first place? Is to just be entertained. It's just that fucking simple. And if Hollywood can't realize that, then just look at the fact that every film that is coming out nowadays is bombing at the box office. And even if they were some really good films that came out this year, it doesn't excuse the fact that there is no saving Hollywood, because they did this to themselves, and you know what? They fucking deserve it. And I am actually going to be honest right now. Quentin Tarantino deserves a lot of praise for his direction of this movie, as he made an absolute masterpiece that will stick with you long after it's over. And I totally recommend that you should go check out some of his other films like Pulp Fiction and Django Unchained, as they're just absolute masterpieces that we just don't get from modern Hollywood anymore. Don't worry about it, it's just a fucking cough, okay? The cinematography is honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is so fucking good. But if there was one thing that I really liked about it, is the way in how it does such a great job at making every scene feel so realistic and stylized all at the same time. And not just that, but I thought the use of lighting and bright colors was just so well done, as it perfectly reflects this film's themes of Los Angeles and 1960s Hollywood as a whole. And overall, this is honestly some of the best cinematography that I have ever seen in a modern film like this, as it fits perfectly with this film's themes of Los Angeles and its story. And I am just going to let you know that this is the same cinematographer who worked with Quentin Tarantino on a lot of his films. And to me, this is honestly some of his best work, as it really goes to show you that Robert Richardson is honestly one of the best cinematographers working in Hollywood today. And this film does such a great job at showing that. And if you haven't seen the Kill Bill franchise, I totally recommend that you should go check that out, as that is honestly some of the best cinematography that I have ever seen from him. And I'm not gonna lie, everything from the production design to the color grading, everything just works. It is so fucking well shot, as it immerses you to what it was like at the time. I thought Margot Robbie did a pretty good job playing Sharon Tate, despite the fact that she wasn't in the film all that much. But if there was one thing that I really liked about her performance in this movie, is the way and how he brought so much depth into the role, as it really makes Sharon Tate so much more than just a side character, but someone who is deeply complex. And you can really see that from how she is portrayed as being a young woman who has a strong appreciation for her own career. And I have got to respect Quentin Tarantino for giving her character a happy ending, as it really goes to show you that this film is just an absolute masterpiece, especially when you look at the way and how it does such an amazing job at portraying Sharon Tate and the Manson murders, but in a way that feels comedic but respectful all at the same time. And overall, this is honestly one of her best performances, as it really goes to show you that she can do such an amazing job at playing characters who are deeply complex, and you can really see that from this film right here. And not just that, but I thought Emil Hirschich did a pretty good job playing Jay Sebring, despite the fact that he was only in the film for a couple of scenes. And this goes the same way with Margaret Qualley as Pussycat. I thought the scene on where Rick Dalton has a mental breakdown in his trailer is honestly one of the most emotionally powerful scenes that I have ever seen in a film like this, as it fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about. So the scene immediately starts off with him performing a scene with James Stacy. But when he forgets one of his lines after asking for another take, it quickly transitions into a shot of Rick Dalton crying and destroying everything in his trailer. And I just want to say that the acting from Leonardo DiCaprio in the scene is honestly some of the best acting that I have ever seen in a film like this. As you can really feel his pain and desperation in wanting to do everything that he can in order to fix his career throughout the film. Honestly, he should have won an Oscar for this, as he brought so much depth into this character. And I am not going to let you right now. This is a pretty realistic depiction of an actor who feels completely out of his prime. And to me, it is honestly one of the main reasons on why Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a great film. Because despite the fact that this is a comedy film, there is a lot of emotional drama that I really appreciate. One of the most interesting things about this film is the way in how it does such an amazing job at showing what Hollywood was like in the 1960s. And not just that, but it is all done to reflect this film's themes of fame and nostalgia. And this goes the same way, especially when you look at how Quentin Tarantino portrays the Manson family as being nothing more but dirty and drug-filled hippies who are led by a manipulative con artist. And I am not going to let you right now. It makes me realize that we just don't get movies like this anymore, as it was just so well done. I thought the final fight scene is honestly one of the best scenes that I have ever seen in a film like this, as it fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about. So it immediately starts off with the cult members trying to break into Rick Dalton's house. But when they are confronted by Cliff Booth in the kitchen, he immediately starts to notice that they are the exact same people who he met at Spawn Ranch. And while he's trying to do everything that he can in order to maintain a sense of normalcy and pretend that there is nothing wrong, it quickly transitions into a shot of him deciding to send his dog and kill the hippies in a very graphic way. And overall, this scene was just so well done. Especially when you look at how it does such an amazing job at subverting one of the most tragic events from the 1960s, but in a way that feels respectful and satisfying all at the same time, despite the fact that it is very fucking comedic and graphic. And to me, it is honestly one of the main reasons on why Once Upon a Time in Hollywood will be remembered as being an absolute masterpiece of filmmaking. But if there was one thing that I didn't like about this film, is the fact that it can get boring at times. And some of the characters are really fucking forgettable in a way. But still, this is honestly one of the most compelling stories that you are ever going to get from a film like this. And honestly, if Quentin Tarantino didn't direct this film and it didn't have great acting performances, then this film would have not have worked as strongly as it did, as everything just works perfectly, as it shows a Hollywood that feels authentic to what it was like in the 60s. And everything from the acting to the directing to the writing was just so well done. And I am not going to let it right now. If you want a film with great writing and directing, go watch this fucking movie, because it is most definitely worth your time. And say what you want about Quentin Tarantino, but you have to admit that he is a pretty good filmmaker. And this film does a pretty good job at showing that, because he takes the Manson murders and Sharon Tate and does them in a way that feels respectful without feeling pretentious and self-indulgent. Honestly, this film is just a masterpiece, because when I first saw it, no film has affected me more than this film right here, because it was so fucking funny but sad all at the same time. This is what I want from Hollywood, is compelling stories. And you know what? You're not gonna get that from the modern day. So go watch this film while you still can. This is the rating that this film got on Rotten Tomatoes. So 86% from the critics and 70% from the audience. And I am going to read out the reviews right now. So for the first review, while Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is different to anything that Quentin Tarantino has done before, this movie can be summed up in one word: a masterpiece. For the second one, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just might be Quentin Tarantino's masterpiece. For the third one, in a world where franchises and reboots rule Hollywood, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a breath of fresh air, as it cements itself as one of the best films of 2019. For the fourth one, this is Quentin Tarantino at his most tender. For the fifth review, Quentin Tarantino has a way of satisfying our desire for revenge against historical injustices. And that is something that I am most definitely agree with. And as I read these reviews, it's nice seeing a film like this getting the praise that it deserves. And not just that, but it really goes to show you that This is one of the best depictions of 1960s Los Angeles ever put on film. And while it's not a perfect movie, it's still a lot better than the woke dog shit that we get from modern Hollywood, especially nowadays. And I even heard that this movie was pretty controversial because of the way and how it portrayed Bruce Lee, but to me, it just doesn't fucking matter because it doesn't change the fact that this film is still a good film that is most definitely worth watching. I thought the soundtrack was just so well done, as it fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about and the film's themes of Los Angeles and Hollywood. And it really makes this film even better than it already is. And I am going to show you an example of it right now. No, honestly, I just don't know why Quentin Tarantino gets a lot of hate just because he steals a lot from other movies. Because, don't get me wrong, I hate that too. But he made some great films. Just look at Pulp Fiction. That film is still one of the greatest movies ever made. And the dialogue in this one is just as good as some of his other works. This movie was so fucking fun, not gonna lie. Nah, but Brad Pitt, he fucking carries this movie with his performance. That guy is a good actor, honestly. This movie is a wild fucking ride, not gonna lie. No, honestly, any scene from this movie just makes this film better than it already is. There's no wasted scene. There's no wasted moment. Everything just works. And this film felt like a film that was made from Quentin Tarantino as it talks about Hollywood. And if you really think about it for a bit, this film is a fairy tale in a way. No, and honestly, this film is 2 hours and 40 minutes long, and yet it doesn't even feel long. This movie's just pure entertainment. It doesn't try to be more than what it already is, it just tries to be a good movie, and I wish more movies would do that nowadays, but we just don't get that anymore. Like, the soundtrack even feels like it's from the 60s, too. This movie has something that most movies just don't have anymore: a fun and entertaining story. And I'm just gonna let you know that I just saw Obsession last night, and damn, that was a good fucking film. As it looks at modern relationships and does it in a way that is just creepy and disturbing all at the same time. And if you haven't seen that, I totally recommend you get the fuck off your ass and go fucking watch that film. It's so fucking good. I am going to explain the ending of this film. So, after killing the hippies, we see a shot of Rick Dalton's house being investigated by the police, while Cliff Booth is being put into a hospital truck. But as they say goodbye to each other, the film ends with Rick Dalton meeting Jay Sebring and spending time at his house with Sharon Tate. And to me, I thought that this was a perfect but emotional ending to a film like this, as it fits perfectly with everything that this whole movie is about: old versus new Hollywood. And not just that, but I have to respect Quentin Tarantino for giving Sharon Tate a happy and emotional ending, despite the fact that he played around with history. And honestly, if Sharon Tate was not killed, then none of this would have happened in the first place. Because honestly, reality is not Hollywood. And that's what this film does so good. It takes something that came from reality, which is a tragic event, by the way, and does it in a way that is just sympathetic without feeling like it's an insult to what happened at the time. And it's insane to me that people remember Sharon Tate for her death and not who she really was. And I think Quentin Tarantino did a pretty good at showing that through this film right here. And to me, it is honestly one of the main reasons on why this film is most definitely worth your fucking time. I'm gonna show you the trailers of this film, starting with the first one. Get ready for this fucking thing. And I am really excited to watch the new David Fincher movie. It's like a spin-off of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but it focuses on Cliff Booth's character, and it's directed by David Fincher, and it's written by Quentin Tarantino, so I'm really excited for that. And I really appreciate Quentin Tarantino for making a film like this, as he made an absolute masterpiece that deserves a lot more attention, especially nowadays. As it looks at a world that is a fantasy. In conclusion, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was just an absolute masterpiece of cinema, as it does such an amazing job at portraying 1960s Hollywood, but in a way that feels deeply compelling. And not just that, but it makes me realize that we just don't get movies like this anymore. Especially when we are living in a time of where every film that is coming nowadays is either a sequel, prequel, spin-off, or remake of something that already came out before. And it really goes to show you that there just is no saving Hollywood, as they are basically a dead industry that will continue on destroying itself from the inside out. And you know what? Nobody gives a fuck. Because this is what happens when you treat your audience like fucking shit. You get what you fucking deserve. And if there is anything else that I want to say about this film, is go fucking watch it. As it's just an absolute masterpiece when it comes to the acting, directing, writing, and cinematography. And not just that, but you could really tell that this was made by a filmmaker who actually gave a shit about the film that he wanted to make. And he did it perfectly. And I am just going to let you know that the next films that I'm going to be reviewing is Brothers 2009, Christian F, Trainspotting, and Blade Runner 2049, directed by Denis Villeneuve. So, go get ready for those. And also, anyway, that's all I got for today. Go away now, and always remember, strike back like a weapon against wokeness. And keep supporting films like this, because we need them more than ever before, especially when we're living in a time of where films don't feel like films anymore, but feel more like products for streaming services. And I really appreciate that we get films like this, because it really shows that Hollywood isn't all that dead. It just makes bad films. And this is one of the good films that is most definitely worth your time. So yeah, see you on the next one.